Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Show Thyself a Man. I am your host, Amiri Israel, and I am here with a super duper, literally super duper special guest tonight. I know I say that all the time, but this is a SupaNova special guest, brother SupaNova Slom. I thank you so very much, dear brother, for being with me here tonight. And we about to get into it, man.
Well, this warrior salute, Almighty. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Thank you. So yeah, man, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us some commentary on brother SupaNova Slom for the people that don't know.
All right. Well, I'm a best-selling author of two best-selling books. Currently, Heal Thyself, The Wellness Warrior's Guide to Self-Mastery. Yes, from Mother Queen Afua, and I currently run a online 12-week Rites of Passage men's program that you are a veteran of, a Wellness Warriors program for men, just to support men on their holistic wellness journey. And also a revised edition of my book, The Holistic Remedy, which is available on Amazon. I'm 1/3 of the owner of a wellness supplement company called SupaMega Foods, plant-based nutrition, SupaMega Greens, SupaMega Protein, and SupaMega Tincture, body, mind, spirit. Initiatives that I teach about on my social media, and I'm also an established musician, artist, creative. And I'm here saluting the people. Well, salute.
Thank you so much, dear brother. And if you will, so we are, those of us who do know you, we know that you've dedicated your life to health and wellness for all humanity. But since we're dealing under the topic of manhood and masculinity, how important is it for men to understand that it is important for them to honor their health?
Well, most men, especially African-American and Latino men, leading the health disparity as far as men's health and decretion. And then Caucasian men come after that. And so most men are not necessarily encouraged to put their personal self-care and health first and foremost, so he can continue to be of service to himself and others. He's told to get out here, hustle, grind, and provide, right? And those are auspicious, powerful attributes. But when you leave yourself out that equation, it affects your mind, body, and emotional state. And so most men, even if they are able to achieve material blessings, breakthroughs, and abundance, a lot of times they internally, feel empty. And that emptiness, a lot of times with men, can turn out to be depression, men being suicidal, neglectful of maintaining the basic tenets of their health and wellness, and allow them to really go into a real toxic shadow self that also depletes how they have relationships with their loved ones. So it's very important for us to, rebrand man, in this current time that we're living in, and encourage men to put their health and wellness first, so they can be of service to themselves in this life and maximize their lives, and also be of service to others.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And let me tell you, it works. See, bro. So I was already on somewhat of a health kick before I joined the program, but the emphasis of staying hydrated in this program is masterful. I never drank so much water in my life, but it does do the trick, man. And one thing about it, I will say, for those of us who are conscious of even our godhood, it's very important for us not only to have it in the mental, but we have to reflect it with our bodies as well. Like we can't just wish to be or speak about being gods unless our body is in sync with our mind as well. So I definitely salute you all, man. I definitely salute you for, once again, being dedicated to holistic, healing and health and wellness, man, especially for us brothers. Look, nothing works unless I work. So
nothing works unless you work.
So let's get into it. So this segment of the show is what I call, when we in discussion or when we having conversation, how they say, well, we like to break the ice. This one is called, we're gonna break the glacier. This is a glacier breaker. So this question I always start off with, what is your definition of manhood?
My definition of manhood is being fully expressed in the body, mind, spirit, living of my true Godhead on planet Earth. That's manhood for me.
Awesome. Awesome. And so if do you have any men in your life, or not even just men, any examples of manhood or masculinity that you were able to pull from growing up as a young
I do remember my father, being a really, he was a very creative provider spirit before he fell into the clutches of crack cocaine. So I do remember him when him and my mother were together, and him just having that, very powerful father presence. Upon his demise into that world, my two stepfathers, first one being Reverend Phil Valentine, for those who may be aware of his name from the metaphysical community. He was very much a great example of fatherhood. And then Baba Heru, Sinna Ankara Patah, he's also, as a Kemetic elder, has been an exemplary example of what manhood is. For me. So I've had those examples, and then just, my uncles in my life, and then just brothers in the street, just brothers from the hood in my community, always been like big brothers and mentors to me as I was navigating, coming into my young adulthood and trying to figure that out with teenage years, and, getting caught up, unfortunately, in a lot of unproductive habits, so it was those men and those elder mentors that even when I was pulled in the gravity of the street life, I still had them, as a conscious example of what I could be once I broke through that. And ultimately, I was able to break through that cycle and be a living example of their example for me.
Awesome. That's awesome. And, we often, a lot of us, this is one of the reasons why I do this, I hold this show, hold this space for it to be a blueprint, for those youngsters that may only have the examples of gang members or brothers that might not be doing it the right way, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So just, getting brothers like yourself and a plethora of brothers that were honored to be a part of the show, that this is the blueprint. Like, these are examples that you can follow and get a better understanding of what goes into masculinity and manhood. So
absolutely.
Once again, man, I salute you, man. And if you can, would you share one of the lessons that you learned from any of those examples that to be somewhat of a blueprint?
Well, to be a leader, I learned it early on, an alpha male is the one that makes the decision to lead, away from the pack. I was taught by those men, they all echoed examples of that by saying, beta men follow, they follow a lot of times things that do not necessarily serve them in their highest and wisest. And an alpha man creates his own path. If it's not there for him, then he creates his own path and leads, and that example that he leads sets a tone for others to, be inspired by. And so that's pretty much, that theme in different degrees has been following me from the men that I was inspired by, the elders, the mentors, and then, you are who you attract. So no matter where I moved in my life, I was able to attract those type of men that echoed that, example of a leadership, of taking initiative. And sometimes it may look a little strange and a little alienated because you have to step out.
Yeah.
But that's what a man has to do. He's a master problem solver. Life is hard. Men, we're internal as far as how we process stuff, because we're taught to hold things in, right? So a lot of times we're really always thinking internally the next steps, the next 10 steps, 5 steps. And so, we have our lives, require us to be mathematicians, things ain't added up, what to subtract, what to divide, and so, those examples of being a master problem solver, being a leader, of finding a way, even if you're leading yourself and nobody's following behind you, standing on your word and standing on affirming yourself in your word, has more longevitive effects. And then eventually a lot of people who are able to survive their trials and tribulations, if they have saw your example, most times they actually come around and give you your flowers based upon, you wouldn't even know. They're like, wow, I thought you was not even aware, but, it's very important that, men, wherever they may be, is to stand on that, to stand on their organic original signal. There is a universal with all men, but that we all have a unique way that we can add to that principle. And I feel that all men have a ability to add to the legacy of men in a heightened way. When we look upon a lot of the ancient texts, the biblical texts, and all of the different scriptures and ancient Comitian way of life and the ancestors, most of those men who left a lot of those texts back, they were all striving, regardless of what was going around in the chaos. They were all striving to put examples of something higher.
Yeah.
So if you think about masculinity, it's followed us from different traditions and scriptures to now, of men wanting to go beyond themselves, and looking at the ugliness of what was going on and knowing that they're connected to higher power, higher source. That's why when you ask me what my example is, I mean, that's the totality of manhood, is one that is trying to establish his Godhead on earth for himself and to be a support for others, so that's the legacy that I'm here to support and encourage other brothers to be excited to do their supporting of, because I think collectively we can shift and rebrand man. The brand that manhood has stamped on us, it no longer serves us. It has served us for a point, but you can just look around, regardless of the men are opulent, political, or struggling. The overarching collectivity of man, he's exhausted. He's really just trying to do the best he could do, and he's repeating himself. And women, for the most part, are figuring other ways to express themselves and expand. And so women have become the new leaders, as for the new alphas, in a sense, not to compare masculine and feminine, but because it's all in my eye, balance. But women are doing more alpha things with how they're showing up in the workplace and entrepreneurship. And definitely they're the leaders of self-care. And I think we can learn a lot. This is why they live longer. This is why, my grandmother is 98 years old. She'll be 99 this year, my mother's mother. So we have so much to learn. As alpha men, we can learn so much from the women and their examples, even if that not necessarily our wives or our sisters or our mothers, just seeing women in the world. I think that can inspire alpha men to also double down on things that they need to do so they can be better examples of themselves in service.
Yeah. And it's very important that you mentioned that it's balance, because, alpha males ain't trying to hear nothing about what a woman got.
Because that's what I'm saying about rebranding man. Alpha man, as we've been taught, is a limitation.
Yeah.
Right. So he's ruled with the brand of alpha man has been dominant. So he's been domineering, but the legacy has been tarnished. Because now you have men don't want to be men no more. That's deep. That we got to all hold that. That's serious. Man has been so domineering and so dominant with the signal that men don't want to be men no more. And our sons don't want to be men, right? So that means we have to do a collective check on ourselves to reestablish and rebrand what man is.
Yeah.
Because right now, I mean, women most women think they're men, right? So it's a deep thing now. It's, that's what happens when you're so extreme in the domination. So domination in extremity is not healthy for nobody. Yeah. And so over time, I would say over the last 2,500 years, globally, that has been a toxic trait of the greatest alpha men collectively have tarnished the branding of man. Yeah. And so now we're in a new cycle where we have to now, in order for man himself, as an example of his higher and lower self on this planet, his masculine and feminine himself, he has to figure out what is the new legacy he wants to leave, because the domineering supremacist, I'm better than you, you better than me, that ain't, that had, we think it has power, but it's really limited in the scheme of the greater all. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And now we're seeing man, right? We're seeing how men are suffering because a lineage of men had that limited thinking that was marketed as this great thinking. And so it has not really served us. So I think we collective, that's why I was saying earlier that man is man's responsibility. So we teach in the Man Heal Thyself training. And so I think all of us doing our self-care, working on ourselves to achieve self-mastery. And that's a lifelong journey, right? But in the working of that, and bringing men to the excitement of healing himself, the rebranding of man is established, and the new legacy is now deployed. And I'm here I don't want to demonize any men, but I want to encourage brothers to go deeper and to expand beyond what they've been taught. We've been patchwork quilting manhood because grandpa may have had this and lacked that, father may have had this and lacked that, and right. So uncle may have had this, or the big homie. So we kind of patching things together the best we can. And most times, unfortunately, what is patched together is a lot of the toxic traits of what manhood is. It's like the worst of our attributes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men can honestly say, yeah, that's not really popping now. I mean, the most strongest alphas can humble and go, yeah, that ain't really right. That ain't really what it's at. And when you look at some of the most warrior alphas that unfortunately got caught up in the system, when you talk to them, they're not who they were when they first got in the system. And they have a very humbling spirit. And a lot of them are saying, yeah, that ain't the move.
Right.
So when a man has time to, unfortunately, I don't want to say everybody we should sit in jail, but when you have time to just sit, reflect, and do that inner dialogue, you start to have a different perspective of what that is. And so with Man Heal Thyself and my support of brothers in transformation, I'm here just to support men on a new deployment and a new identity of what manhood can be for us over the next 2,500 years. So I'm not only thinking about today and tomorrow, I'm thinking about if we all collectively do our work and encourage each other as men, and take away the competition, take away all that, because we know that's there, right? But we don't got to bring that to the build, It's really about, because we can't talk about a lot of these things with our women because they're not us, right? But so much we can unpack with our women, and we want to definitely have healthy relationships with our women. It's very important and necessary. But there's a deeper dimension that only men intuitively, quietly, and overtly can cultivate amongst ourselves so that we can be better communicators with our women. The fact that we have a lot of static communications with our women comes from the fact that we still been patchwork quilting manhood. And then our women, unfortunately, because of media and pop culture, they tend to celebrate and become fans of our lower frequency, even though they say they want a good man, right? So they say, I want a good man, but they don't really want the good man, right? They really want the bad attributes of us, right? It's weird. It's like, and the bad attributes of us, if cultivated right, are really our good attributes, right? So our warrior, our thug, but it's misdirected. So it's really not good. But the ones that do the knowledge understand this is why white supremacy is necessary. And even we've missed it. So that's why we facilitate this with Man Heal ourselves. And we say, let's get 18 and older. And that way, when the fathers and uncles and the young homies come out of Man Heal ourselves, they go back and they start to present a new culture amongst the younger ones. And we start to show that, in the next, 10 years, there'll be more wellness warriors rising, and say, I'm a war. That's why I put warrior in front of wellness. Because I'm a defender. I'm a protector of the wellness. Right. We say, we wellness warrior. Because now I acknowledge what they're trying to signal of the gangster and the thug, right? That's just the warrior class. We as an alpha man, we have it, even if it's not necessarily something, we're not aggressive. We all have that warrior. But when you assign the warrior to the portal of transformation, transfiguration, and healing, it takes on a whole nother, time, space continuum for the man. And so it's a long walk. It's a big ruck that we have to take. It's a lot we have to put on our backs. But I'm excited about it because, like rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, he talks about passing the baton. I don't think that in my body capacity that I'll live to see the whole planet of man being in a wellness warrior state. But I know that I will be part of, from this moment of conversation, you, me, and our brothers that have went through and that will continue to go through and doing various levels of manhood work, because even what you're doing right now with the podcast is part of the healing. As we continue to forge ahead, we are creating a new paradigm. And I'm not distracted about what my brothers in the algorithm are doing that's still toxic. We just have to keep forging, and eventually they'll get to us one by one, two by two, thousand by thousand, millions by million. You know, we start with our tribe of men, and then because you know the brothers here in the West, we are the standard of men everywhere. Everybody swag jack us, right? So that's why you start with us, and we get us squared away. Yeah. And then we go to our other brothers in other different areas of life, you know, in other different hues and ethnicities, because we pop it. Once black man makes it popping, then everybody want to get on, right? So then we take that healing spirit of us and we align with the Caucasian brothers that are willing to do their work, right? And the Asiatic brothers. And we just go around with these men, and then you create such a universal shift where globally the man starts to become a transformed man. And yeah, there's still going to be the lower man and shadow man. We know he's going to be there, but the whole point is to expand a new consciousness of what man could be, what manhood can be, you know. And that's with all of our working on ourselves. The more we work on ourselves, the more this can be actualized, realized, and analyzed.
Man, that's gold. That is pure gold. And it's so many points I wanted to touch on that last answer you gave us. But one that stuck out was being able to lead even when no one else is following. Right. And we've been, you know, you've mentioned how dominant we've been over this centuries, decades, however long. That's very humbling, like to be able to lead yourself and like no one's following me, I have no one to point the finger at or no one to tell what to do in this, but now I have to lead myself, and that is very humbling. And it's subtle and simple humbling, and I think that's tied in with having to sit down and to look within, look at yourself. That's a part of that, and that stuck out. And you know,
I was just going to add to that. You know, there's a class of men called Sigma males, and the Sigma male, he's an alpha outside of the hierarchy of alpha, beta, you know, kappa, and what's another one? And I think a delta male, right? These are all different levels of male, right? And so a Sigma male is like a twin of an alpha. But he's a loner, right? So we have brothers out here that are just entrepreneurs, they're not married, don't have no kids, and they're happy in their lives, moving and creating their own pathway, you know? And some of them also do have families, right? But they still move in a real independent way away from the collective think tank of what a lot of men are doing, you know, and they're very successful. So those are called Sigma males, right? And so, you know, there are portals for that. There's a portal, you know, an accountability to say, okay, I am on the pathway of my personal enlightenment, of achieving my personal activation of my Godhead, and I don't really need to be part of my friends, family, and anybody else. And I make peace, and if they come peaceful, they're not peace. And so we salute those brothers too, those Sigma males. And then in the hierarchy, right, the alphas that have to be socialized, right? Those are the ones that, you know, we're in the social settings most with our jobs, our work, entrepreneurship, trying to coach and mentor. So most times, you know, if you're in a social construct that depends on you, you know, you're an alpha that falls in that, you know, that hierarchy, you know. Sigma males, a lot of times they have done a lot of work independent of systems where they can just function without it, you know. A good example of that would be the Wolverine character from X-Men, right? So Wolverine, Logan, right? He's he's mercenary mutant, right? He used to be in the military, you know, they experimented on him, became this incredible mercenary mutant, but he's aligned with the X-Men, right? So he knows the structure, he comes and does that thing with them. But you know, throughout the X-Men universe, he's always the one leaving everybody. So he's mad combos, him just going off and just leaving everybody. So that'd be a Sigma, just to give you an example of what that would look like. You know when to fall in line, you know when to be in the structure, but you can really operate outside of it and not be heavy about it, you know? So, you know, again, the point, beloved, is saying that is just to hold space for all the brothers, right? You know, hold space, you know, not from a dogmatism space, or I'm your leader, follow me. It's more like I'm here for me, SupaNova Slom. I am leading you to you. That's the tide I'm taking. So I raise my hand to be leadership, to lead other men into themselves. So when they go through their personal rights and reestablishment, they now are rebirth leaders for their lives, and they can do the same for others. You know, so it's just a lot of remixing and cutting off and re-examining and rejuvenating we got to do.
Yeah.
And it's necessary. And I think it's a good time for us to really go deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just simple. It's pruning, man. We just pruning them leaves, man, making them leaves stronger. And you know, when you mentioned Wolverine, now, you know, something came to mind. Now, also, for those of you brothers that's watching, I'm gonna give you a little taste, just a little taste. Now, this is an inside joke. Superman came to mind, but that's all I'm giving. If you want to know what Superman about, join Man Heal Thyself Rites of Passage program, and you trust me to change your life. But
yeah, but I could just say to add to that, you know, just to not to blow your spot up, but just to let them know that, you know, all men are supermen.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And then we have a kryptonite in our lives, things that make us weak, people, places, and things, right? That we have to manage, time manage, right? That we have to decide if we have this kryptonite more than often, our superpowers will be compromised. If we find ways to time manage the kryptonite of our lives, people, places, and things, and put them in accordance, then we have more power and more output to do the things we want to do.
Yeah.
So, and this is why we on the journey of self-mastery called Man Heal Thyself, to really, really get the supermen in life redeployed and reactivated.
Yeah, yeah. I ain't want to give them too much, but since you gave it the green light, so it's all good. But yeah, man, and that was, you know, going back to the last question, rites of passage, man. And so going through the program, it's like, yo, this is what all men need, is rites of passage. We need not only permission to take care of ourselves, but we need a portal. You know what I'm saying? It's like most of us out here just, it's like you say, patching it up and trying to just figure it out on a whim, you know, but we need a portal, man. We definitely need a portal. So any brothers that's watching is join this program, man, and rites of passage is one of the key components that's missing in our elevation as men. So yeah, man, I definitely salute. Shout out to because Hallelujah Walcott.
Hallelujah, yeah, Hallelujah Walcott.
Y'all do a phenomenal job, man, and I thank y'all for being generals in that area. Speaking of women, are you married, dear brother?
Yes.
Awesome. How, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been married?
Well, I'm remarried to the woman I divorced.
Well, that's big. That's big.
Yeah, very, very big. Yep, very big. That was my first marriage. We divorced after 5 years. We were gone from each other for 5 years, and now we're back.
Yeah, that's big. Could you expound on the importance of that? The importance of being gone from each other?
Well, you know, I mean, you know, so we didn't sign up to get divorced, right? Life happened.
Yeah, oh, of course not.
Life happened. Yeah, life happened very incredibly. And as it happened to us, you know, we moved in different directions. And so the directions we moved in, she moved into her self-mastery, her personal development, you know, and facing her shadow self, and rebirthed as an amazing best-selling author and one that's teaching, you know, high vibrational signaling in the world, you know, as a master teacher in that pathway. So in that 5-year period, she was doing her self-work, you know. And that 5-year period, I was working on myself, and it culminated with me doing Man Heal Thyself, you know, post my military active duty service. And in that, working on Man Heal Thyself and working on me in the pathway, you know, and she doing her work, we were able to magnetize and reorbit after not speaking or hearing from each other in 5 years. The work brought us back together, you know, the work and the personal accountability allowed us to refellowship and court each other back again, just in support of what we're doing, and just catching up and checking each other out. You know, of course, naturally, the magnetism of who we are had opportunity to recommit to each other. And so, yes, an honest excitement. You never in a million years I thought that was going to be the case. So that's why I said the more this is good for men, because the more you commit to yourself and doing your work, and sometimes you may have to go from the hierarchy of the alpha sphere and go into the sigma alpha, the lone alpha, you know, and do some even deeper work. trust and believe, that that what seeks you, is that what seeks you, you're seeking it, and vice versa. So as you continue to heal and repair and to reassess, things start to balance and to magnetize towards you,
Yeah. Yeah.
In relationships, some relationships are moved, the more you heal, are moved away from you to clear the path. And then some relationships are refitted from the inner universe, repackaged, and comes back to you in a sacred compliment, like I'm blessed to have with my beloved. So
all praise.
Yeah, all praise. Shout out to my wife, Lady Delia. Ashe.
Yes, indeed. The queen, and she does some wonderful work as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So you both are very powerful on this planet, and we salute you both. You both, and that's the importance of this balance, man.
Yeah.
Very important for balance. So you can't be, extra super gorilla over her. She seemed like she wouldn't have put up with that anyway. So
Nah. I don't even need to be over her. She, I'm in I play my position strong, and she's in her position. I look at it as we're compliments.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sacred compliment. Yeah.
So there's no question that brotherhood is a big component in your life, and what you're into. But could you share us the importance of brotherhood and accountability as men to you?
Well, just doing this men's work and being part of different fraternities, street fraternities, for most of my life. I've been part of various, what they call gang or street tribe fraternities, and those brotherhoods, and been part of, and then, the infantry fraternity, the serious warrior fraternity.
Yeah.
And now in a universal, men's fraternity called Man Heal Thyself. I find, no matter what formation I have been part of, the beauty of men working together to achieve a goal is you can't put into words how powerful that is.
Yeah.
And we in the survival of the street life, we do so much together successfully in the criminal world. So if we just put an ounce of that same initiative that we've done in our criminalities to actually build each other to be sovereigns, and to be accountable of our God selves, our higher selves. Sky is limitless, and so that's where, I've been able to survive different, like I said, formations of different brotherhoods, and I take all of those different tenets, of accountability, of each one teach one, each one reach one, check on your brothers, and I bring that to the formation of Man Heal Thyself. And, outside of all of us together, the world depends on man showing up.
Yeah.
So, still sharp and still, the more we hold each other accountable to who we say we are, and we encourage each other, it not only benefits the circle or the fraternity that you're part of, but it benefits everybody that's a part of those men's lives.
Yeah.
And so, manhood, accountability, and holding your brothers to an example of his higher self, that's God, and I'm excited about that. And you see it in corporate America, you see it in the military, you see it in the street culture, right? You see it all in all different formations, street economics, social, political. When men work together in their highest selves, so much they benefit and the world benefits, because we know what men coming together being devious is. Like, and the thing about the devious man is that he knows how to get his partners together to be devious, and demonic and domineering, but it doesn't serve the planet. It just serves him and them to a moment where they don't agree, then they take each other out. So nobody really wins.
Nobody wins.
When you take that same magnetism, the opposite of that magnet, so the opposite of that Jedi, you got the Sith side, the dark side, and you got the light side, right? So the opposite of that dark side would be those same men coming together, building, strategizing, empowering. They all benefit together and apart. And then as they go in the world benefits from that example of that accountability portal. So unfortunately, we're battling old paradigm man and new possibility of man. because old paradigm of man, groups of men come together, you know, people get scared when they see groups of men coming together, especially our groups of men, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And because a lot of times when our groups of men come together, it's not universal serving. It's self-serving to those brothers until it's not, right? Until somebody gets locked up and rat on somebody, or you know, and so that shows us there's never longevity with that type of man formation. But the spirit of coming together, that's the power. So I've tried to find the positivity in all of it, right? So the principle of man coming together is auspicious, is God. It's what he does with coming together. Can be demonic, you know, a limited service, or it can be godly, which is an expansive, abundant service.
Yeah.
He's been taught the more wicked he is, the more successful, but it's a limit, it's a trick. You know, and this is what I'm saying, that we have to have more alpha men excited to be expressed with the new version of themselves, because it's easy to get caught back in that old paradigm. It's easy to get caught back in that argumentative, you know, ego-centered, you know, old man thinking, you know, but that old man thinking, it doesn't have longevity perks that can be transferable into generational. It's just we can take more, we keep taking on the pain, we keep taking on that pain body. And we hear it. Oh, you know, you got the pain for 500 years of you know, of oppression. You got pain. We don't be hearing about that. You got your blessings from 100 years ago. Can we transfer some of that mutant gene, the superpower thinking, the God consciousness? So it's up to man to begin to come together to figure out a new signal, so that the young sons and nephews and men coming in the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years and beyond can have that example. And the women that they interact with, our daughters and our future daughters, they can be now partnered with these renewed men that will bring a benefit and a protection and a high vibrational exaltation to these women. And you know what type of children they will be able to create? Yeah. Incredible, right? And that's the shift. So we're working. We're here working.
Man, that is gold. That is more than gold, man. So, with that being said, so what would you tell your young self growing up? What would you tell young SupaNova Slom? What advice would you give him growing up? So I
would tell him to keep doing what he's been doing. And that I got him in the future. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's so
that's big.
I know it's lonely. I know you're feeling frustrated.
Oh, I love that.
But you know, the work that you're doing created me.
Oh yeah.
And I got you.
I love that.
So just keep forging ahead, figuring it out, you know, being open to learn and grow. Make mistakes, fall on your face, get back up and keep going, because I'm here and I got you. Your future got you. And we're gonna figure this, we're already figuring it out for you. So you just keep doing the work you're doing, and the baton will be passed to me.
Oh man, that's good. And that's pretty much the epitome of what, you know, how there's a truth that we all have a young man inside of us that's still yearning to be himself, or that still needs comfort from trauma and all that. So that answer is the epitome of the care that little fella needs. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because the experience is what makes us, just like you said. And I think that another reason why that's important, what you said, is because we beat ourselves up for the mistakes we've made in the past, or what's quote unquote mistakes. You know, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done it. But not only did you learn from that, but it's our makeup. It's what made us. So yeah, man.
This is why the first assignment that we have brothers do in the Man Heal Thyself training is the forgiveness letter.
Yes.
That first 7 days, that first I read is all about you jumping in your Marty McFly DeLorean back to that time in your life. Yeah. You pick the age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and you go ahead and allow him to let stuff go. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, because we're still, like you said, we're still carrying versions of ourselves from that childhood in us, And we have, you know, through our meditation, through our reflection, we can go back into these spaces and do that healing work. We can actually go. I shared with the brothers before, you know, we're currently in a new semester now.
Yeah.
The fifth formation. It's the fifth formation that we're doing. Brothers are on their third week, which is the love of man of harmony. You know, right. And so these brothers are excited. You will be very proud of them, Brother Israel. They're excited.
Quick shout out to my brother Kamari flashes in this program. This
formation. Okay. Ashe.
My brother Kamari.
Yeah, shout out to Brother Kamari. And you know, one of the things that I shared with them that allowed me to, I think week 2 was when we did I talked about in the ministry about I wanted them to take a little meditation period and just breathe and think about their 5-year-old self. And visualize you holding and hugging your 5-year-old self and saying something positive and uplifting as a grown man to your 5-year-old self. I was sharing with them, you know, one day I was sharing with the last semester, the 4th rotation, and I told the 5th rotation this story too. I was right in the midst of, like, I think right before we graduated the last class, the last group of brothers in Ascension. I was downtown LA one day coming from working out, and I was listening. One of my favorite songs that I remember this song. I remember the age I was, I remember the song, I remember everything I was going through in my life at this time. This song always brings me back to that space. So it's a song by Prince called When Doves Cry from his movie Purple Rain, right? Yeah. Now, Doves Cry was 1984. And it was the summer of 84. And I remember I was 7 years old. I remember that song takes me all the way back to that year. I remember everything. What my mother was doing, my father was doing, what was on TV, what was not. Like I remember it clearly, like I'm looking at you. And I remember I just started crying. Cause what I did was that's one of my favorite songs, but that song was a Stargate that day. Yeah. And it took me, the man, and I saw my 7-year-old self listening to the song. I went to my room, I saw him. Yeah. He turned around and I pulled him into my chest and I just hugged him. Oh man. And I told him it's gonna be okay. And I'm crying. He's not crying, he's just quiet. And I'm crying and letting him know I got you. It's gonna be okay. Yeah. It's gonna be okay. And I remember that song because it talked about abandonment. You know, how could you just leave me standing? Lonely in the world is so cold. Yeah. You know, he talked about being abandoned by his woman and his parents, you know, thinking, is this abandonment having to do with me taking on the attributes of my mother and father? You know, my father's demanding, my mother's never satisfied. Yeah. So he, you know, so in the song, he's reflecting about his loss of his love and comparing it to how he was raised. And maybe that's the cause of why it's not working out with him and his beloved. But I remember also that was the year that I really recognized my father going down the road of addiction. You know, I started to see it, like, you know, when you're that young, especially in the crack cocaine decade, the 80s, you know, by the time I was 11, I knew, you know, because I actually, but you hear things in the street, you hear things in the commercial. So you kind of think you don't want to think about your father is doing anything like that. You know, especially at that time, you know, a basehead, crackhead, junkie, that was the worst thing you can even call anybody in your family, you know, let alone somebody in the street you didn't know. Yeah. You know, so, but I remember thinking, not having a confirmation yet. I was only 7, I didn't know, but I kind of had some curiosity that my pops may be, because he didn't have the attributes of a junkie yet. You know, he was still functional and stuff like that. But I just kind of started thinking something was off. Yeah. You know? But so that song always connects me to all the feelings that I could just access, you know? And so I shared that with the brothers in the last formation. And then this formation, I shared it with them. And then I told you what I just said about, let's do a breathing exercise to visit our 5-year-old self. Yeah. And just to affirm into our younger self that it's going to be okay. We are the future version of them. Yeah. And that we have them. We're doing the work. We're doing the healing. How reassuring would it be for your 5-year-old self inside you right now? He's there to know that, you know, 40 years in the future, you've already transcended your trauma. You did something about it. Yeah. You know, so that was a story for that.
Oh yeah, that's gold. That's gold. I appreciate that. You sharing that with us, man. But it's man, that that was gold. That was gold. And I'm still, the answer you gave, it still give me chills though, because man, and I know that my father needs that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
his
yeah,
father needs that. And that's why one thing I appreciate about the Rites of Passage program is we were doing it for our fathers too, like this, like the seven fathers. Like,
the
man,
seven fathers.
I was
Yeah,
like, yo, that's big, and it made me start to think like, damn. So my father didn't have nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? They don't know about therapy and none of that, and they had to go through those traumas the best way they could, man. And
but what's beautiful is that you are your father, moving farther
and
through
you
time.
told one of the guys that in the last semester, and they hit me like, yo, he was like, look at yourself in the mirror. That's your father. And
Yeah,
the brother got very emotional, and I understood that, and it's very important, man, to know that we are our fathers, and to get acquainted with their ups and their downs, their makeups and their breakups.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
we
and
feel aware.
this is the thing of that each generation is a level up of the last. It's just part of the DNA upwardness of what happens,
Yo,
right? And so even if it's a subtle, because we have a lot of things that we're navigating as humanity, but the power is that you are your mother and father in one body, and that uniqueness of being both of them in one
yeah,
brings your uniqueness out, right? So even though they say the son can inherit the sins of the father, but the son can also inherit the God of the father. See, that's what I'm saying. There's so much of the past 2,500 year low frequency man paradigm that we still actively trying to feed,
yeah,
and we need to change that narrative by doing this new work. So
yeah,
no, I'm not the sons of my pops. I'm doing this work. I'm of service to my higher self and you all. So
yeah,
so my father now has an opportunity in me, in my makeup, to be exalted in this new timeline that I am him. He is not with crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? He ain't part of that. I freed him up right now
yeah,
because he freed me into this life. He
yeah.
exhaled into my mother,
Right.
right? So now, and then when he exhaled his body, he left me here. I'm still part of his makeup. So I'm continuing him, and I'm not continuing him in pain body. I'm not continuing him. I made peace with him. So I like my sister and brother, they have their own meditation with that.
Yeah,
I personally made peace with him. That way, now when he's an ancestor, he can come and live in me and not have pain body.
yeah,
Because I'm not holding him to pain body. I'm not holding him to 1984, 5, 6, 7, 8 with crack cocaine.
yeah,
I've made peace with it. So
yeah,
now I can evoke him and speak him highly of him. He can move through me from the spiritual to this material that he helped create, and he can have a whole new experience through me.
man.
So this is why, the living, the ones that are still breathing, we must do our ritual and rites.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No, we have to unblock and shift,
yeah,
because if you can't honor the mother and father, the auntie, the uncle, the grandparents, if you still have these emotional blocks in your physical body,
yeah,
you have to create a pathway so they can flow through you in a new way.
yeah, yeah.
Ashe.
Powerful. So yeah, and then that just goes to show you our responsibility. We
Yeah.
responsible for the physical and the spiritual plane, and to man, I'm sure that makes him proud. And what a relief that my son released. You know what I'm saying? It's and some people die with their issues or their ailments or whatever, and to
Yeah.
have their children, siblings, whoever, release them on a
Well,
physical.
and what's the living hell? You holding on to the pain body. Who's in hell? You and your parent. If you are a beautiful young woman that's still mad at what mom didn't do for you, and you leave the planet, you need to break the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So and through you, she can free up. Maybe hopefully another sibling. Hopefully sometimes all the siblings are blocked. So that ancestor now, it can never rest. It can't rest in peace.
Come on.
It's in a hell in a spiritual state, and then because it wants you to thrive beyond it, beyond its mistakes. And now you die with a broken heart. So now you join your ancestor in that, maybe not hell, but in that place that has not released. And the only way you're going to release somebody in your lineage has to say y'all are free. So maybe a baby in 10 generations may come, don't even know y'all, and just say release. And then your spirit's released. And then they can come back, y'all can come back in that baby's body and live through and join them.
Yo.
We don't understand how metaphysical, literally, us doing rites and rituals is. You know, we don't even understand why we're needed. You know, there's no such thing as worshiping something outside you and making things happen. You have to be who you say you are.
Come on.
So if you talk in Christ, you have to facilitate Christ for Christ to exist. It can't be no spook God, because ain't nothing gonna happen with you with that. Ain't nothing gonna happen. The reason you know why you catch the Holy Ghost? Because you're the Holy Ghost. You see the people in church and the music in them, they become that. That's why they, you know, when the Reverend gets into the spirit, that's why people get possessed. He brings it in him. He brings it up in him, and then the people feel it, right? And then look, they take his words and then they become. That's why the church is like that.
Yeah.
But if nobody becomes, ain't nothing happening with that. So imagine if we are able to release each other from that. You know, you mentioned earlier about my wife, right? And I told you how we came back to be. You know, when me and my wife were not together in that 5 years, instead of doing what I talk about in the Man Who Loves Himself book, the angry man would do. When you think about your ex, you just start to think about negative things and thoughts. When I would practice thinking about my wife and the children, and I would smile. I would practice thinking I had no communication with them. And my ritual was to send positivity to them. That was 5 years. I had no agenda. I was doing it for my own sanity. And now look where I'm back. I'm physically in the same time and space in the home with her, right? She's right down the hall.
Come on, man. That's
right. So look, I just decided to change the paradigm, to do something with the energy. And this is what I'm trying to get our brothers to see. It's the subtleties, doing certain small rituals.
Yeah.
It's not taking away nothing from you. Just shift the paradigm for yourself. Creates new opportunities. It creates release. So I don't feel sad. When I think about my father, it's a little heavy, like light heavy. It's not heavy, you know. I think about him. When I think about most times, I smile because I really feel him with me. Feel him with me hard. Like, so sometimes I think about him not physically being here, but then I think about him. He's really he's made his presence known in me. I'm here. Yeah. You're good. Yeah. So I shift out of it. So these are like the little small things that I'm excited just to keep sharing with yourself and other brothers in the formation and future brothers. These little tidbits that we just begin to exercise and access in our daily lives can shift and give us new opportunities, even if it's not right now. You know, there's another opportunity coming for us down the road.
Brother SupaNova, you have blessed my crown tonight, and those of us who are watching this tonight, I'm sure that they are blessed as well, because that quote unquote is why it's important that we break generational curses, not just for what's physical for us to see, but to release our ancestors.
Release them.
That's powerful. So they can help you manifest the world. So yeah, I get it.
Why do you think people, why do you think people are more belligerent, crazy, crying, brokenhearted in a funeral? Because they didn't get to release.
Yeah.
They held that grudge, and now that person has left the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the most loudest one in the release is those people who really probably didn't have the conversation they needed to, or have enough time.
Yeah.
Right. And then, right, post the body returning to the essence and the spirit being part of the eternal presence, if you're not doing that heart work and that spiritual release, then you're not even giving that, you're not giving yourself and that spirit an opportunity to fully be eternal. You know? And this is why rites of passages are so important for our people, and then all people, right? So that you get to the point where, like I said, when we become the living examples, I want this for, even, I don't have to be part of the Irish community or the Jewish community. I want it for them too, because that we share the same planet. It's our home.
Yeah.
I know that if they can do their intergenerational shadow stuff, face their ancestors and let stuff go, then when they come and face Black folk and say, I'm not part of oppression, we may really feel them. We go, you know what? Something about, I feel you. And then they say, brother, I'm so released from oppression, I'm going to do this in this life. I'm going to do this in honor of me. Not see, that's what happens with our Caucasian brothers and sisters. They just try to disconnect from their grandfathers, right? Got inherit all of the amenities, even if it's just, some of them are not always abundant. It could just be their skin tone, that gives them access over others, right? But my point of saying that is, even our Caucasian brothers and sisters on the planet, if they do their work like we need to do our work deeply and let stuff go and really do it, then we can, them like us can be more productive for each other. We're not, all of us on this planet, we're not doing the works. We're not giving the rites and the rituals and the reminders of who we truly are. We're caught up in the perceptions and the distortions, and then we're passing pain body, and it becomes competitive, right? So we're so lost in all of that. All of these beautiful beings are just coming and going from the planet, coming and going, and never having an opportunity. So my prayer in this lifetime capacity, along with yourself and other brothers, that we could just rise the excitement for the healing, so that we can prepare the way for the next generation to have a whole new experience that has nothing to do with them inheriting all of this chaos and madness. We have no right to do. Somebody has to stop that for them, or at least begin to let them know there's some alternatives to that. Because maybe some of them may still have to make that low vibrational choice to find themselves, but it's up to us who've been through the chaos to show that there's another way and another possibility.
And then to give our ancestors something to return back to. We don't
Come on,
return
right.
to chaos too.
Get right. Give them something right. Make room for your peoples.
That's it.
Great grandmother's trying to come through. Uncle's trying to come through. Grandpa's trying to come through. You gotta create the space. The family, they want to have a family reunion in you. You gotta make sure you got everything right for them. They want to come and visit and move through you and give you visions and breakthroughs and help you magnetize. So we have to create that space. We gotta let some of that stuff go.
Yeah, man. My wife and I always talk. We have 4 kids, so my wife and I always made the joke of, man, our ancestors really trying to come back through us. Like, we doing something right, because they all trying to come back through us.
They all trying to come back.
Hold up a second though. Just give us some time. But yeah, man, brother, man, thank you so much for dropping those gems on us, man, and shining your light once again. And where can we find what's next for SupaNova?
What's next is I'm getting ready after this Man Heal Thyself training. We're going into the fall, winter. So I do this 2 times a year. You all can support me at Man Heal Thyself program on Instagram. You click the link in the bio. It'll take you to the website to read about the Man Heal Thyself rites of passage. We do that twice a year. I'm very excited about that. Like I said, currently my book, The Holistic Remedy, is out now. We're going to put a revised edition this summer. It will be out within the next month or 2, revised edition of this book. And we're still getting the word out on Man Heal Thyself, the Wellness Warrior's Journey to Self-Mastery. And in the midst of just doing the literary work and helping to be a bridge of holistic wellness for the men and for the women with wellness and nutrition, I'm back in the creative space, working on some new material. very excited to really just be downloading some amazing music now that I'll be sharing with the family as the rest of this year and the new year comes. So Ashe, you can find me on all handles, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at SupaNova Slom, SupaNovaSlom. The Mega Greens, our wellness products, can be found at supamegafoods.com, SupaMGAfoods.com.
And then don't forget Spotify, man. My man is on all platforms.
Oh yeah, we have a current catalog on all platforms, on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Music. Got songs with some classic family, Erykah Badu, Jay Electronica. We have Ice-T. We got Dead Prez, T.I., Ludacris, Game, Jada. So your brother's been doing the work, and I'll continue to do more work. Ashe.
Ashe, man. Well, thank you once again for being a part of my vision, you know, and we in this together, man. And salute to you, your mom. Oh my God, your mom. My wife is in Sacred Woman right now. You know, it usually go well. My wife did introduce me to Heal Thyself, and she's had the Sacred Woman book for years. I'm talking about she was 12, so she never joined the program. So it's kind of reverse. You know, they usually go first, and then the men go second. But I went first in the program. Now she's in, you know, Sacred Woman. So yeah, she's on the journey, and it's we doing it, man. We healing ourselves and the planet, brother.
Yeah, brother. Well, thank you for this amazing platform. Continued abundance and breakthroughs, and may you reach thousands to millions of people to support your work and your vision. And Wellness Warrior salute, mighty Wellness Warrior.
Wellness salute. Woo!
Ashe.
All right, brother.
Peace. Thank you, brother. Peace. Wellness salute.